The rain hammered against the loft window like it had a personal grudge, blurring the neon haze of Seattle into a watercolor smear. I stood there, palette knife frozen midair, staring at the half-finished canvas that mocked me with its empty spaces, ghosts of limbs and shadows that refused to breathe. Then the door creaked open, and Jasper walked in, shirt clinging to his chest from the downpour, his dark eyes locking onto mine with that effortless pull that made my stomach twist every damn time. "You look like hell, Eli," he said, voice low and rough like gravel under tires, dripping water onto the scarred hardwood as he kicked off his boots. "If that painting's winning any fights tonight, it's not with you holding the line." I dropped the knife, the clatter echoing like a gunshot in the silence, my heart slamming against my ribs because in that moment, with his soaked hair plastered to his forehead and that half-smile cracking through the storm, I knew I was done pretending this roommate thing was just about splitting rent. The loft in Capitol Hill was supposed to be my sanctuary, a third-floor walk-up crammed with canvases leaning like drunken soldiers against the brick walls, the air thick with turpentine and the faint, metallic tang of regret. I'd moved to Seattle 3 years ago, chasing the ghost of some half-baked dream about becoming the next big thing in the Pacific Northwest art scene. Instead, I got barista shifts at a hole-in-the-wall coffee joint called Brewed Awakening, endless nights scrolling through rejection emails from galleries, and a bank account that laughed in my face every time I checked it. At 28, Eli Hawthorne was supposed to have it figured out. Steady gigs, maybe a show in Pioneer Square, but here I was, sketching strangers on napkins and wondering if the rain would ever stop long enough to let the sun touch my skin again. Jasper Riley crashed into my life 6 months back, answering my frantic Craigslist ad for a roommate with a text that read, "Heard you need someone who doesn't mind chaos. I'm your guy, Jazz." One beer-fueled meetup later, and he was hauling his duffel bag up the stairs, all broad shoulders and easy grins, turning the loft from a tomb into something that felt dangerously like home. He was 29, a freelance carpenter who'd bounced around from Portland to Boise before landing here, chasing gigs fixing up old Victorians in Queen Anne, tan skin from too many hours under the Oregon sun. Even in Seattle's gloom, mixed Irish and Mexican roots that gave him this warm, golden undertone and eyes like polished obsidian. He moved like he owned the space, all fluid confidence, but there was a quiet edge to him, a way he'd stare out at the sounds sometimes, like he was waiting for a tide to drag him back under. We fell into a rhythm quick. Mornings, he'd brew coffee strong enough to strip paint while I nursed my first cigarette of the day, sketching the curve of his jaw over the rim of my mug without him noticing. Afternoons, he'd vanish to job sites, coming back with sawdust in his hair and stories about crooked beams in haunted houses. Nights, we'd split takeout from the Thai place down the block, him sprawled on the thrift store couch, me cross-legged on the floor, arguing over whether Springsteen or Selena was the real voice of the working man. It was easy, too easy, and that's what scared me, because every time his knee brushed mine or he laughed, that deep, rumbling sound that vibrated through my chest, I'd feel this pull, like a current dragging me towards something I wasn't ready to name. The art block hit like a freight train around week 20. My latest series, Fractured Coasts, was due for a pop-up at that indie space in Fremont, but the canvases sat blank, accusing. I'd tried everything. Midnight walks along the waterfront, blasting Coltrane until my ears rang. Even a disastrous hookup with a barfly from Numos who left me feeling more hollow than before. Nothing clicked. The figures I wanted to paint, men on the edge of breaking, raw and unfiltered, eluded me, dissolving into smudges before they could take shape. One drizzly Tuesday, Jasper found me slumped over the kitchen table, charcoal sketches crumpled around me like fallen leaves. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, flannel shirt rolled to his elbows, veins standing out on his forearms from a day wrestling lumber. "Rough one?" he asked. No pity, just that steady gaze that made me want to spill everything. I rubbed my eyes, the sting of smoke and frustration blurring my vision. Deadlines in 2 weeks, and I've got nothing. Zilch. These pieces are supposed to be about vulnerability, you know? Guys stripped down, facing the storm. But every time I try, it comes out like I'm hiding from it myself. He pushed off the wall, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and slid it across to me. Sounds heavy. You need a live one? Someone real to stare down. I barked a laugh, bitter and sharp. Yeah, right. Hire a model on my budget? I'd be posing the barista from downstairs, and he'd probably sue me for the sketch. Jasper's mouth quirked, that dimple flashing in his left cheek. What if it's not a stranger? What if it's me? The bottle paused halfway to my lips. Heat crawled up my neck, unbidden. As I pictured it, him, bare under the studio lights, muscles shifting like tide pools under moonlight. You serious? You'd do that? For free? He shrugged, like it was nothing, but his eyes held mine a beat too long. We're splitting rent, man. Might as well split the muse. Besides, beats swinging a hammer all day. When do we start? That night, after he'd crashed early, I lay awake on my futon, the rain a soft percussion against the skylight. My mind raced with sketches I hadn't dared commit to paper. The line of his collarbone, the way his hips tapered into worn Levi's. It was dangerous territory, this attraction I'd buried under layers of denial since the day he moved in. I'd come out in college, a fumbling sophomore at UW. But Seattle's scene felt like a club I wasn't cool enough to enter. Too many polished twinks and brooding artists with their own orbits. Jasper, though. He was straight-edge real, the kind of guy who'd fix your sink without asking for favors, who talked about his abuela's tamales like they held the secrets to the universe. No rainbow flags in his stories. No sideways glances at the parade floats rolling down Broadway, or so I thought. By morning, I'd convinced myself it was professional. Pure art. I set up in the corner of the loft we dubbed the studio. A drop cloth over the floor, floodlights angled just so. My easel braced against the window for that diffused gray light Seattle did best. Jasper showed up in basketball shorts and a faded mariner's tee, towel slung over his shoulder, hair still damp from the shower. The scent of his soap, cedar and something earthy, hit me first, then the way the fabric clung to his chest, outlining the ridges I'd only glimpsed in passing. "All right, Hawthorne," he said, tossing the towel aside and peeling off the shirt in one fluid motion. "What's the pose? Heroic warrior or tortured soul?" I swallowed hard, palette in hand, forcing my voice steady. "Something simple. Sit on the stool, lean forward, elbows on knees, like you're carrying the weight of the world, but not quite breaking." He nodded, settling in, the stool creaking under him. His skin gleamed under the lights, a map of faint scars from construction scrapes. A thin white line across his ribs, another slashing his shoulder like a lightning bolt. I started with broad strokes, blocking in the negative space, the curve of his spine a dark arc against the white wall. Minutes blurred into an hour, the only sounds the scratch of charcoal and the distant hum of traffic on Pike Street. "You're good at this," he murmured at one point, not moving, voice soft as fog, making it feel seen, not just lines on paper. My hand faltered, a smudge blooming where it shouldn't. "It's the model. You've got bones like sculpture. Old masters would kill for reference like you." He chuckled, low and warm, shifting just enough to catch the light on his jaw. "Flattery? From the brooding artist? Careful, Eli. Might make a guy think you're interested." The room tilted. I froze, charcoal dust blackening my fingers, heart thudding like a bass line in my ears. Was that a joke? A test? His eyes met mine over the easel's edge, dark and unreadable, and for a split second, the air crackled electric, alive. Then he looked away, breaking it. "Kidding. Keep going. World ain't waiting." I exhaled, shaky, diving back in. But the seed was planted, that what-if rooting deep. By session's end, the sketch was alive. Raw edges, shadows pooling in the hollows of his collarbone. Eyes that held storms I recognized too well. Jasper stretched as he stood, muscles rippling, and clapped a hand on my shoulder, the touch lingering like a brand. "Not bad for day one," he said, voice casual, but his fingers squeezed once, firm. "Tomorrow." "Yeah." I managed, pulse racing. Tomorrow. That night, alone with the sketch propped against the wall, I traced the lines with my eyes, memorizing him. It wasn't just art anymore. It was a confession, inked in black and white, and I didn't know how to stop. The sessions became ritual. Twice a week, after his jobs wrapped and my shifts ended, we'd clear the coffee table, dim the lights, and he'd strip down to essentials. Shorts one day, a towel draped low the next. I'd direct him. Recline against the wall, one arm behind his head, exposing the taut plane of his abdomen. Or stand by the window, rain sheeting down outside, his silhouette a dark slash against the storm. Each pose peeled back layers, not just of fabric but of the man himself. He'd talk, voice weaving through the quiet stories of growing up in a dusty suburb outside Tacoma. His dad's garage band dreams fizzling into auto repair. His mom's kitchen alive with the sizzle of carnitas on weekends. Laughter lines crinkled at his eyes when he recounted the time he built a treehouse that collapsed mid-climb, sending him tumbling into a raspberry bush. "You're painting more than skin," he observed one evening, mid-pose, sweat beading on his temple from the loft's stuffy heat. "It's like you're getting inside my head." I paused, brush hovering, the air thick with linseed oil and unspoken truths. That's the point. Art's not about the surface. It's the cracks, the places light doesn't reach. His gaze sharpened, holding mine. "And what's in your cracks, Eli? You don't talk much about before Seattle." The question hung heavy as the damp air. I could dodge, like always, mutter about college dropout stories or the ex who bailed when my hobby wouldn't pay bills. But under his stare, the words clawed up. "Lost my way after art school. Folks back in Spokane thought it'd be a phase. This queer artist kid chasing rainbows in the city. Dad still sends clippings of real jobs openings. Mom calls, asks if I'm eating enough. Like that's code for, when are you coming home straight?" He didn't flinch, didn't look away. Just nodded slow, like he'd heard echoes of it in his own life. "Family's a bitch sometimes. Mine's split. Dad's off in Reno with wife number 3. Mom's holding down the fort with my sisters. They don't get the wandering part, the not fitting. But hell, Eli, you're here. That's something." His words settled warm in my chest, a balm on old wounds. I painted on, the canvas blooming with color now, ochres and indigos bleeding into the gold of his skin. By week's end, 3 pieces done, each more intimate than the last. The loft felt charged, every glance loaded, every brush of shoulders in the kitchen sending sparks. Then came the night that cracked it open. 4th session, thunder rumbling outside like a warning. Jasper arrived late, rain soaked again, but this time with shadows under his eyes, jaw tight. He stripped without a word, assuming the pose, a seated twist, back arched, vulnerability etched in every line. I worked in silence at first, but the tension coiled, thick as smoke. "You okay?" I finally asked, dabbing umber for the hollow of his throat. He exhaled, long and ragged. "Bad day. Client chewed me out over a delay. Guy's flipping a queen and for Airbnb cash. Acts like I'm the help. Reminded me of Dad, always barking orders, never seeing the sweat." I set the brush down, stepping closer, the drop cloth crinkling under my socks. "Hey, you're not him. You're the guy who built that bookshelf last month without blueprints. Just feel. That's magic jazz." His head turned, slow, eyes locking on mine. Dark pools reflecting the storm outside. The space between us shrank, breaths sinking in the humid air. "You see me, don't you? Really see?" My throat closed. "Yeah, I do." Time fractured. He rose, fluid as water, closing the gap in 2 strides. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb rough against my stubble, and then his mouth was on mine. Hot, urgent, tasting of rain and salt and something desperate. I gasped into it, hands fisting his hair, pulling him closer as the world narrowed to the press of his body, solid and real. Tongues tangled, a low groan rumbling from his chest, and for that endless minute, the rain faded, the doubts dissolved. It was fire, it was flood, it was everything I'd denied sketching in secret. He pulled back first, forehead to mine, breath ragged. Shit, Eli. I didn't plan. Don't, I whispered, heart hammering. Don't say it was a mistake. His eyes searched mine, raw and unguarded. It wasn't. God, it wasn't. But there's stuff. Complicated stuff. The thunder rolled, closer now, and in that crash, I felt the first fracture. Not in us, but in the fragile peace we'd built. Still, I kissed him again, softer, sealing the question. Whatever came, we'd face it, or so I thought. The morning after tasted like stolen sunlight filtering through the blinds, Jasper's arm heavy across my waist, his breath warm against my neck. We'd tumbled from the studio to my futon sometime after midnight, clothes shed in a trail like breadcrumbs leading to this, tangled sheets, the faint ache of newness in my muscles, his heartbeat a steady drum against my spine. I lay there, tracing the freckles scattered across his shoulder, marveling at how the man who'd been a sketch on paper now filled every corner of my skin with heat. Seattle woke slow outside, the patter of rain a gentle underscore to the chaos in my chest. This wasn't just a kiss anymore. It was a shift, tectonic, rewriting the lines I'd drawn so carefully around us. He stirred as I slipped out of bed, murmuring my name like a half-remembered dream. Eli, where? Coffee? I whispered, leaning down to brush my lips over his temple, tasting salt and cedar. Stay. We've got time. In the kitchen, the machine gurgled to life, and I leaned against the counter, replaying it all. The way his hands had mapped my ribs like they were framing a masterpiece, the soft hitch in his breath when I nipped his collarbone. My phone buzzed on the counter, a text from the gallery curator. Hawthorne. Pieces due Friday. Make them sing. Pressure coiled tight, but for once it didn't crush. Jasper's touch lingered, a talisman against the doubt. He patted in minutes later, boxers low on his hips, hair a glorious mess. Smells like salvation. He hip-checked me gently, pouring a mug, his free hand grazing my lower back. Casual, but electric. We sipped in companionable quiet, the kind that didn't demand words, until he set his cup down, expression turning serious. Last night, he rubbed the back of his neck, a flush creeping up his chest. I meant it, every second. But I gotta lay it out, Eli. No secrets if we're doing this. I nodded, pulse quickening. Talk. He leaned on the counter, mirroring me, the space between us humming. Grew up Catholic on my mom's side, big family. Tacoma roots. Dad split when I was 10, left us scrambling. Mom remarried a good guy, but the church was her anchor. Sundays in the pews, fire and brimstone sermons on sin. I was the golden boy varsity baseball straight-A jock. Buried the rest deep. First time I kissed a guy was senior year, behind the bleachers with the team equipment manager. Freaked me out so bad I ghosted him. Joined the Marines right after graduation to straighten up. The words landed soft, but heavy, painting pictures I'd only glimpsed in his pauses. I reached for his hand, lacing our fingers. Marines? You never. 2 tours in Afghanistan. Fixed Humvees. Kept the guys laughing through sandstorms. Came out stateside different, though. Knew who I was, but the labels. They chafed. Dated women to keep the peace, family reunions, small-town whispers. Last one was Lena 2 years back. Portland girl, sharp as hell. But it fizzled because my heart wasn't in it. Haven't told Mom. Haven't told anyone, really, until you. His thumb stroked my knuckle, a small anchor. Vulnerability suited him, cracking open the easy charm to reveal the steel beneath. And now? With me. Now? His smile broke, slow and real, chasing shadows from his eyes. Now I want to build something. No hiding. But it's scary as shit, Eli. What if it pulls us under? I squeezed his hand, the warmth seeping into my bones. Then we swim. Together. We sealed it with coffee-sweet kisses, lazy and lingering, before he dressed for a job in Ballard, restoring a boathouse on the locks. Session tonight? he asked at the door, backpack slung over one shoulder. Double time, I grinned. Your ass in oil on canvas by dawn. He laughed, pulling me in for one more, deep, promising, before vanishing into the drizzle. The door clicked shut, and I turned back to the studio, energy crackling like live wire. The canvases waited, no longer blanks but invitations. I worked through the morning, brush flying, infusing Jasper's form with the fire of last night. The arch of his back a wave cresting, shadows pooling like desire in the dips of his hips. By afternoon, the barista shift dragged, steam and chatter a blur as I foamed lattes and doodled his profile on order slips. My coworker, Mia, a pierced pixie with a poetry zine, nudged me. You're glowing, Hawthorne. Bill. New muse. I flushed, wiping the espresso machine. Something like that. Roommates helping with models. Working. She waggled her brows. Hot roommate? Details or I dock your tips. Off limits. I shot back, but grinning. For the first time in months, the future didn't loom like a storm cloud. It shimmered possible. Evening brought Jasper home early, takeout bags swinging, pad thai from our spot, extra lime. We ate cross-legged on the floor, knees touching, trading bites and stories. His day, a near miss with a rotted beam, laughter with the crew over bad coffee. Mine, a sketch of him that Mia had snuck a peek at, her wolf whistle echoing in my ears. The easel called after, and he stripped without hesitation, assuming a new pose, reclined on the drop cloth, one arm shading his eyes, the other trailing lazy across his stomach. Painting him now was revelation. Every stroke carried memory. The salt of his skin, the way he gasped my name in the dark. The canvas pulsed, vibrant siennas for his warmth, cool teals for the vulnerability we'd shared. He watched me work, silent at first, then soft. You're capturing it. The feel of you on me. Heat flooded me, brush trembling. Can't help it. You're in every line. Hours slipped, the rain a steady companion. When I stepped back, the piece hummed. Intimate, alive, a testament to the man who'd upended my world. Jasper rose, stretching, and crossed to me, hands framing my face. Show me. I did, and his breath caught, fingers tracing the canvas like it was flesh. Beautiful, like us. The kiss started there, against the wet paint, smearing color on his chest, my shirt. We laughed into it, messy and free, tumbling back to the futon. This time, slow, exploring, savoring. His mouth on my throat, hands learning the map of my scars. The appendix slice from kid surgery, the tattoo on my ribcage. A compass rose, inked after my first heartbreak. Points true, he murmured, lips following the lines. Leads me right here. I arched under him, whispering his name like prayer, the loft fading to just us. Bodies sinking, breaths mingling, a rhythm building to crest. Release came in waves, crashing, leaving us spent and tangled. His head on my chest, fingers drumming lazy patterns on my skin. Sleep, he mumbled, voice thick with sated haze. With you, always. But dawn brought the first shadow. My phone lit up at 6. A voicemail from Mom. Voice tinny through the speaker. Eli, honey? Saw your dad's forward about that engineering firm in Spokane. Good pay, benefits. Think about it. We miss you. Love, Mom. Jasper stirred beside me, eyes opening to the quiet hurt on my face. Family tax, I said, deleting it. They mean well. He pulled me close, chin on my shoulder. They don't know you. Not like this. We lingered in bed, trading truths over reheated coffee. His fears. The crew's ribbing if word got out. The ghost of military don't ask ghosts. Mine. The art world's queer tokenism, galleries wanting diversity without the depth. But in his arms it felt surmountable, like we were carving space board by board. The week blurred into bliss. Sessions wove with nights in, cooking disasters, his chili too spicy, my pasta gluey. Walks along the locks watching salmon leap, his hand brushing mine in the crowd. One evening, post-painting, he surprised me with tickets to a Trisha Yearwood concert at the Paramount. Her voice a country lament that mirrored our hidden aches. In the dim theater, his fingers laced mine, thumbs stroking absently, and I leaned into him, the world narrowing to his warmth. "You're my north, Eli," he whispered during a ballad, lips to my ear. Steady, heart full, I kissed his temple. "And you're the storm I want." But storms brew quiet. Friday loomed, gallery drop-off. I packed the series, each wrapped careful, tide's edge, Jasper's form dissolving into waves, anchor hold, his gaze defiant against the pull. Breakers, bodies implied in abstract fury. The curator, a wiry woman named Theo with silver-streaked hair, met me at the door, eyes lighting as she unwrapped them. "Hawthorne, these are fire. Raw, queer heart beating through every stroke. Who's the model? Boyfriend material?" I hesitated, heat rising. "Roommate." "New." She grinned, clapping my shoulder. "Wear it proud. Opens next week. Be there." Floating home, I burst through the door to find Jasper Midsaw on a side table, with shavings like snow. "Sold the dream," I announced, pulling him up for a victory spin. He hooped, lifting me off my feet, kiss fierce. "Knew you would." Dinner out? My treat, that oyster bar in Belltown. We dressed up, me in a button-down that actually fit, him in a Henley hugging his frame, and stepped into the night, city lights reflecting off puddles like scattered stars. The bar hummed with after-work chatter, shellfish steam curling in the air. Over Dungeness crab and crisp whites, he opened up more. A half-brother in Reno he'd never met, dreams of his own carpentry shop, Riley Builds, etched in reclaimed wood sign. "With you sketching the logo, maybe." I toasted that, clinking glasses. Partners in crime. The word hung sweet, but as we walked home arm in arm, a figure detached from the shadows near our stoop. A woman mid-30s, blonde hair tucked under a beanie, eyes sharp on Jasper. "Jazz? That you?" He stiffened, hand dropping mine like it burned. "Lena." My stomach plummeted. The ex. Here in Seattle, crashing our glow. She stepped closer, smile tight. "Surprise visit. We need to talk." The rain picked up, drumming accusation, and in Jasper's frozen silence, I felt the fracture widen. Secrets bubbling up, threatening to drown what we'd just begun to build. Lena stood there under the street lamp's sodium glow, rain beating on her jacket like unshed tears, her gaze flicking between us with the precision of a scalpel. Jasper's face had shuddered, that easy openness I'd come to crave replaced by a mask. Jaw clenched, eyes averted, the hand that had held mine now shoved deep in his pocket. The air turned thick, charged with the unspoken, the city sounds fading to a dull roar in my ears. This wasn't just an ex. She was a chapter he'd skipped in our late-night confessions, a loose thread unraveling the tapestry we'd woven. "Jazz?" she said again, softer now, stepping forward as if the puddle between us was mere illusion. "I drove up from Portland. It's important." He swallowed hard, glancing at me, pleading, apologetic, before nodding curt. "Eli, this is Lena. Old friend." "Lena, Eli's my roommate. Artist." The word landed like a slap, roommate, stripping the intimacy we'd claimed hours ago. I forced a smile, extending a hand that felt foreign. "Hey, good to meet you." Her grip was firm, assessing, green eyes scanning my face for clues. "Likewise, Jazz mentioned you in passing." The loft sounds like a creative madhouse. Mentioned in passing. The minimization stung, but I swallowed it, gesturing to the stairs. "Rain's picking up. Come in? Coffee or something?" Jasper shot me a look, gratitude mixed with dread, but Lena nodded, following us up the creaky flights. The loft felt smaller with her in it, her presence sucking oxygen as she shrugged off her coat, revealing a sweater that hugged curves I'd never pictured in Jasper's stories. We settled awkwardly. Her on the couch, Me in the armchair, Jasper hovering by the kitchen like a sentinel. Coffee? He offered, voice strained, already moving to the machine. Black, thanks. She turned to me, filling the silence. So, art scene in Seattle treating you well? Jazz says your stuff's got edge, queer perspectives, right? Bold. I blinked, caught off guard by the directness. Trying to carve a space. Upcoming show in Fremont. Models help ground it. Her lips curved, knowing. Models. He always had that photogenic thing. Baseball star, remember? God. The scouts loved him. Jasper handed her the mug, settling beside her. Too close, instinctively, and muttered, Ancient history, Lena. Not to me. Her tone sharpened, eyes locking on his. That's why I'm here. The engagement party my folks are asking. Yours too through the grapevine. Mom called yours last week. All excited about the save the date. You ghosted the planning calls, Jazz. What's the play? The room iced over. Engagement. The word echoed. A bomb detonating slow. Jasper's face drained. Mug forgotten in his hand. Lena, we talked. No, you talked. I listened. Said you needed space after the move. But this. She gestured between us, though her eyes stayed on him. Roommate vibes? Come on. We're good together. Stable. My dad's firm could hook you up with steady contracts. No more freelance scramble. I sat frozen, the armchair a cage, heart pounding a dirge. This wasn't passing mention. This was architecture. A future built without me, on foundations I'd never glimpsed. Jasper's gaze flicked to mine. Raw panic there, but he didn't correct her, didn't claim us. Eli, he started, voice cracking. It's not. Save it. I stood abrupt, chair scraping. I need air. Grabbed my jacket, bolted down the stairs, the door slamming like finality. Outside, rain lashed my face, blurring the world into streaks. I walked, blocks melting into the waterfront, the Ferris wheel's lights a mocking carousel. Betrayal burned, hot and twisting. Not just the lie, but the ease of it, how he'd folded back into her script without a fight. Was I the fling? The experiment? Chalked up to Seattle's phase? Hours blurred, phone buzzing ignored, feet carrying me to a dive bar in Pioneer Square, the kind with sticky floors and jukebox blues. 2 whiskeys in, Mia texted. Dude, where are you? Jasper's blowing up my line. Worried sick. I stared at it, thumb hovering, then typed, tell him space. Need to breathe. Back at the loft near midnight, soaked and numb, I found it empty. Jasper's truck gone, Lena's rental presumably carting her south. A note on the counter, Eli, please, call me. It's not what you think. Jazz. Crumpled it, crashed on the couch. Sleep a mercy. Dawn pried me awake, head throbbing, the loft echoing hollow. Coffee brewed automatic, and I paced, replaying her words. Stable, good together. My phone lit with his texts. Apologies stacking like cordwood. Never meant to hurt. Broke it off months ago. She won't let go. Engagement was her idea. Pushed after my discharge. I said no. Come home, please. Guilt gnawed, mingling with anger. We'd built something real, hadn't we? Or was I projecting, painting him as the hero when he was just human, flawed? The gallery called. Theo, voice bright. Hawthorne. Pieces hung. Sneak peek tonight? Bring your muse. I agreed, numb, dressing in the clothes that smelled of him. The space in Fremont buzzed. Exposed brick, fairy lights, wine flowing for the soft open. Theo pulled me into hugs, gushing. These are killers. That central one. Breakers? Has got pulse. Who's he? Complicated? I muttered, sipping Merlot that tasted like ash. Then he was there, Jasper, slipping through the door like a shadow, flannel damp, eyes scanning desperate until they locked on me. He crossed the room in strides, ignoring stares, pulling me into a corner alcove stacked with crates. Eli, he breathed, Hands on my arms, grip bruising. God, I thought. You engaged. The word sliced, sharper than intended. No. Hell no. He cupped my face, thumbs wiping rain or tears from my cheeks. Proposed once, drunk on her family's wine, thinking it'd fix me. She said yes, but I called it next day. Ghosted the rest. Moved here to end it clean. Then you saw me. All of me. I fell, hard. His voice broke, forehead pressing to mine. Lena showed unannounced, cornered me while you were out. Said she'd tell Mom everything if I didn't play along. Old letters, photos from Portland. Blackmail Eli. Petty shit. But it froze me. Rage flared. For her. For the fear that chained him. And you let her? In our home. Stupid. Scared. He kissed me then. Fierce. Tasting of regret and rain. Forgive me? I'll fix it. Tell her face to face. Tonight. The crowd milled. Oblivious. But his world narrowed to us. Lips soft now. Pleading. I melted, anger cracking under need. Promise. Swear. Another kiss, sealing. You're it. My everything. We emerged. Hands linked defiant. Theo's brow arching approval as she poured us champagne. Jasper stayed, arm around my waist, whispering encouragements as strangers oohed over the work. That's us, he murmured at breakers. Fingers tracing my hip. The crash, the hold. Pride swelled, mingling with the fragile hope. Later, driving her south, he called from the truck. Lena, done. For good. Don't come back. Her protests cut off, and he returned, face storm-cleared, pulling me to bed. That night, we reclaimed. Slow, reverent. His mouth mapping apologies on my skin, hands anchoring. Love you, he gasped, buried deep, and I shattered around him, whispering it back. But peace is fleeting in this city of mists. Days later, a package arrived. Unmarked, Lena's scrawl. Photos, grainy prints of Jasper and me from the gallery, circled kisses with a note. Think your mom would love these? Or his? Back off, artist boy. Dread pooled cold. The betrayal deepened. Not just his past, but her venom, threatening to poison the present. Jasper burned them, rage in his eyes, but the ash lingered, a warning. Love like ours drew knives. Still, we pushed on, sessions resuming, canvases filling with our fire. One afternoon, mid-pose, he grinned wicked. Paint me proud. Show the world. I did, brush bold, but outside shadows gathered. Mom called again, voice edged. Eli? Heard rumors from a friend in Portland. Everything okay? Lies tangled, but his hand in mine steadied. More than okay, Mom. You'll see. The lie held, for now. But fracture spread, and I wondered how long before the canvas cracked wide. The package's ashes haunted the loft like a bad omen. Fine gray dust swept into corners no matter how I scrubbed. Jasper tried to play it off. Crazy ex bullshit, he'd say, pulling me onto the couch for distractions that left us breathless and bruised. But I saw the toll in the way he'd check his phone at odd hours, the tension coiling his shoulders during quiet dinners. We'd patched the immediate wound, but Lena's barb had drawn blood, reminding us how fragile our bubble was. Seattle's progressive veneer hid teeth. Families, small-town echoes, the world's casual cruelties. They lurked in voicemails and anonymous mail, waiting to bite. I threw myself into the show prep, the opening a week away, canvases demanding final glazes under the relentless rain. Jasper supported silent, bringing home Thai basil rolls when I forgot to eat, holding me after nightmares where Mom disowned me over pixelated proofs. We're solid, he'd murmur, fingers combing my hair. Builds like this don't topple easy. But doubt gnawed. One evening, post-shift, I found him on the fire escape, staring at the sound's distant lights, cigarette burning forgotten between his fingers. He smoked rarely, only when the past clawed back. Jazz. I slid the window up, joining him on the narrow ledge, our thighs pressing in the chill. He exhaled smoke, slow, offering me a drag I waved off. Called Mom today, told her about us. My heart stuttered. Yeah? How'd it land? Shock first. Questions. Is it serious? Does he make you happy? Then, acceptance, kinda. Said Abuela might need time, but she'd pray for us. He smiled faint, but his eyes were wet. First time I've been honest. Felt like shedding weight. Pride swelled. Fierce. I leaned in, kissing his temple, tasting salt. Brave man. My folks. They'll come around. Or not. But we've got each other. He turned, cupping my neck, kiss deepening to anchor us against the wind. Damn right. Now, inside. Your hands are ice. We tumbled back in, shedding layers. The fire escapes cold chased by skin's heat. That night was tender. Him over me. Slow rocks. Whispers of futures. A joint show in his shop. Weekends in the San Juan's hiking misty trails. Sleep came easy, his arm a barrier against the dark. Morning shattered it. A knock insistent, official. 2 cops on the stoop, badges glinting, asking for Jasper Riley. Ma'am? No, sir, routine follow-up. Report of threats from a Portland address. Ex-girlfriend filed a restraining order. Says you harassed her after the visit. Jasper paled beside me, stepping forward. That's bullshit. She sent photos, blackmail. I told her to back off, that's all. The lead cop, a grizzled vet with kind eyes, nodded. Heard both sides. She's claiming escalation. Need you downtown for statements. Won't take long. I grabbed my keys. I'm coming. They waited while he dressed. The loft's warmth turning claustrophobic. In the cruiser. Back seat, not cuffs, thank God. The city blurred past. Rain-slick streets mirroring my guts churn. At the station, sterile fluorescence buzzed overhead as Jasper recounted it all. The engagement farce, her ambush, the gallery night, the package. I corroborated, voice steady despite the tremor, showing texts on my phone. Her taunts, his blocks. The detective, a no-nonsense Latina named Ruiz, leaned back. Sounds like mutual mess. She's lawyered up, daddy's firm, big noise. But evidence leans your way, Riley. Photos originated from her IP. We'll warn her off. No charges if she drops it. Relief flooded, but the aftertaste soured. This from one call? I asked, arm around Jasper's waist as we exited. He shrugged, hollow. She always fought dirty. Probably panicked when I shut the door. Homeward. Silence heavy, until he cracked. Feel like I'm dragging you through mud? Eli, this queer thing, it's a target. I pulled the truck over near Gas Works Park, turning to him. Hey, we're not targets, we're us, and I'd walk through worse for this. His laugh was watery, but he kissed me fierce, hands fisting my shirt. Love you, stubborn ass. The show opening arrived like a lifeline. Fremont alive with hipsters and collectors. The gallery pulsing under string lights and indie folk drifting from speakers. Theo greeted us at the door, air-kissing cheeks. Stars of the night. Drinks on me. Jasper cleaned up devastating. Dark jeans, fitted black tee under leather jacket, hair tamed but wild at the edges. Me in slacks and a silk shirt Theo had insisted on. Nerves buzzing like live current. We entered hand in hand, the series commanding the back wall. 7 pieces now, Jasper's form evolving from shadowed isolation to intertwined light, queerness woven explicit in embracing silhouettes, colors bold as our nights. Whispers rippled. Hawthorne's got heat. That model's a knockout. A critic from The Stranger cornered me. Notebook out. Inspiration? Personal. Jasper's hand tightened on mine, steadying. All of it, I said. Love's the muse. Messy, real. She nodded, scribbling, and later, the review would call it a queer odyssey of fracture and forge. Unmissable. But the night peaked personal. An older couple approached breakers. The woman, silver bob, discerning eye, tilting her head. Stunning. My son. He's like this. Hidden. Wish he'd find his light. Jasper stepped up, voice gentle. He will. Takes one brave soul to start the fire. She beamed, pressing cards into our hands. Gallery owners in Portland. For when you're ready to expand. Elation carried us home, champagne buzz and strangers' validations swirling. In the loft, we celebrated proper. Slow undress by candlelight. His mouth tracing the wine flush on my neck, hands worshipping. Proud of you, he groaned, entering slow, our rhythms syncing to the rain's cadence. Climax built like a gallery hush, breaking in shared gasps, bodies slick and sated. Post-glow, tangled, he traced my tattoo. What next? Bigger show? Travel? With you? Anywhere. But sleep brought dreams. Lena's face morphing to Mom's, disapproval etching deep. Days after, the call came. Mom, voice quavering. Eli? That review. The photos online. Is it true? The man? Truth time. Heart pounding, I sat on the fire escape. Jasper inside prepping dinner. Yeah, Mom. Jasper. He's everything. Silence stretched, then a sigh. Scared me, honey. Dad's furious, says it's a phase, city poison. But I see your light in those paintings. If he makes you shine. Tears pricked. He does. Come home soon? Meet him? Neutral ground. Spoken fair, maybe. Hope flickered. We will. I hung up, bursting into Jasper, words tumbling. He hooped, lifting me in a spin, kiss salty with joy. Told you. Cracks let light in. But light casts shadows. That week, Jasper's crew lead pulled him aside on a site. Whispers about personal life rumors. A client's complaint after Lena's dad lawyered noise. Keep it pro, Riley. The foreman grunted. Don't need drama on my builds. Jasper came home deflated. Flannel dusted with gypsum. They know. Not outright, but eyes linger. Feels like boot camp again. Don't ask. Don't tell. I pulled him to the studio, stripping him gentle, posing him amid the drying canvases. Paint it out. Let me hold the weight. Brush in hand, I captured it. His form bowed but unbowed, colors defiant. Crimsons for the sting, golds for resilience. He watched, tears tracking silent, and when done, crossed to me, embrace crushing. You're my safe harbor, Eli. We made love there on the drop cloth, paint smearing, raw, reclaiming. But as he slept, I stared at the ceiling, fear coiling. How many storms before the walls gave? The climax brewed subtle. A weekend gig took Jasper to Tacoma. Family visit, post-confession olive branch. Mom's cooking, he texted, emojis of tamales. Wish you here. I worked alone, loft echoing, finishing a companion piece. Us, abstracted in waves crashing to shore. Evening brought a knock. Not Jasper, but Theo, bottle in hand. Celebratory nightcap. Reviews are raving. Sold 2 already. We drank, her stories flowing, her own queer path, gallery wars in the 90s. You too? Electric. But guard it. World loves to dim lights like yours. Wise words, but hollow when Jasper called late. Eli? Trouble. Mom's great, hugged me even, but Lena crashed the dinner. Stirred shit with abuela, old lies. Said you're a fling, city temptation. Family's split now. Coming home soon. Rage boiled. That witch. We'll fight it. His voice cracked. I am. Love you. He arrived past midnight, face haggard, pulling me into bed without words. We held tight, but dawn revealed the cost. A voicemail from his sister, tearful. Jazz? Abuela's heart doc says stress. Blames you. Fix this. Guilt crushed him, and in the fracture, resentment seeded. My fault? The openness I'd urged? We argued quiet. First real one. You pushed, he accused, before I was ready. And you hid? I shot back. Still are. He stormed out to a motel space demanded. Alone I wept, canvas mocking. Love's breakers indeed. Days stretched taut, texts sparse, sessions cancelled. The loft chilled, my bed vast. Mia dragged me to pneumos, shots burning paths to numbness. but his absence ached bone deep. Reunion came circuitous. A call from Ruiz. Riley's ex dropped the order. Backlash from her firm. But heads up, she's talking to press. Smear peace brewing. Panic surged. I raced to his site, a half-built deck in Magnolia, finding him hammering rails, sweat-soaked. Jazz. He dropped the tool, pulling me behind tarps. Missed you. Kiss desperate, then pull back. Sorry. Feared losing them all. And me. Hurt raw. Never. Embrace tightened. Let's end this. Confront her. Together. We drove south that night to Portland, rain easing to mist, resolve hardening. Her apartment loomed, craftsman in the Pearl District, lights on. She answered wary, but let us in space tense, wine offered but untouched. Lena, Jasper started, voice steel. Enough. The threats, the family poison, it's over. We're done always. She laughed, brittle eyes on me. Him? The twink artist? You'll crash, Jazz. Back to real life. I stepped up, calm. Reels us. Loving open. You? Clinging shadows. Words escalated, her tears, accusations of betrayal, his firm nose. Finally, she deflated, nodding. Go. But if it burns. It won't. He took my hand, walking out into dawn, her door clicking final. Homeward we healed, road trip confessions, diner pancakes at dawn. You're my build, he said, fingers laced over the console. Strongest yet. But the smear hit Monday. A blog post, anonymous but her fingerprints, local carpenter's queer fling, heartbreak or hoax, photos twisted, quotes fabricated. Rage united us. Lawyers consulted, counters filed, but the damage rippled. His foreman calling meetings, my inbox with hate. Yet in the storm, we rooted deeper, love's forge tempering steel. One night, post-fight prep, he posed anew. Naked, unashamed, eyes fierce. I painted, brush sure, unbroken, and in that image we glimpsed survival. The blog post festered like an open wound, its venom seeping into every corner of our lives. Anonymous comments piling like debris after a flood. Whispers trailing Jasper at job sites. My inbox clogged with supportive strangers who sounded more like voyeurs. Seattle's underbelly revealed itself. The progressive patina cracking to show the rot beneath. Where queerness was celebrated in galleries but dissected in dark corners of the internet. We lawyered up quick. A pro bono queer rights firm in Belltown. Sharp attorneys who assured us countersuits loomed. Lena's fabrications unraveling under scrutiny. But legal wins didn't erase the emotional shrapnel. Jasper came home some nights hollow-eyed, flannel reeking of bar smoke where he drowned doubts with the crew, pretending all was fine. I'd find him then on the fire escape, staring at the shipping lanes, a beer sweating in his hand. They ask sideways, he'd mutter, not looking up. Heard you batting for the other team now? Laugh it off. But it sticks, like sand in the gears. I join him, back to the railing, our shoulders touching solid. Screw 'em. You're more than their jokes. He'd turn, pulling me between his knees, face burying in my neck, inhaling me like antidote. And you? Gallery emails, cancellations? Because of this. Smaller spaces citing controversy. Theo raging on my behalf but admitting the chill. Art world's fickle, she'd say over hurried coffees. But your work, it'll rise.
Mine, tror.
We leaned into the fight, turning pain to fuel. Jasper threw himself into a passion project, a custom queer community center built in Capitol Hill, donated hours framing walls for a nonprofit space called Harbor House. Building safe, he said, sketching blueprints at our kitchen table, pencil between teeth. Like us. I mirrored it, starting a new series, Resilient Tides, portraits of queer Ceadalites, baristas with poetry tattoos, drag kings from the stranger offices, elders from the old leather bars. Jasper modeled first, but others followed, sessions in the loft turning communal, laughter echoing off bricks as stories spilled. Coming out horrors, triumphs snatched from jaws. One subject, a trans man named Riley with a beard like Brillo and eyes like summer storms, gripped my hand post-sitting. This? Visibility. After years invisible, it's oxygen. Jasper watched from the sidelines, pride softening his edges. You're giving that, Eli. Changing tides. Our own tide turned slow. Lena's piece got pulled. Cease and desist hitting hard. Her daddy's firm distancing fast when donors balked. She vanished quiet. A ghost finally exorcised. Jasper's family mended fractured. Mom inviting us to Tacoma for Pozole Sundays. Abuela sending a package, knitted Afghan in rainbow threads. Note in shaky script, for my brave boy and his light. Mom's olive branch came too. Spokane visit booked, Dad grumbling but attending. The drive east was tense, Cascades giving way to dry plains. Jasper's hand in mine over the gearshift. Worst case, we bail to a motel. Laugh over bad TV. But the house welcomed. Mom's hug fierce, apple pie steaming, Dad's handshake awkward but firm. Dinner danced edges. Questions veiled in concern, Jasper's stories of builds disarming. My art slides on the laptop drawing nods. Strong lines, Dad muttered at unbroken. Like you, son. Not perfect. Tensions simmered, old scripts whispering. But it was bridge, not burn. Driving back, windows down, wind whipping, Jasper hooped. We did it. Survived the in-laws. Laughter bubbled, free, and at a pullout overlooking the Columbia, we made love in the truck bed. Stars wheeling overhead. His body a constellation I mapped with lips and hands. Forever, he gasped, and I believed it, the gorge echoing our cries. Back in Seattle, momentum built. Harbor House's opening coincided with my solo show at Theo's, Tides and Forges, blending Jasper's originals with the new series. The night hummed electric. Crowd thick, collectors bidding. Riley toasting with craft IPAs. Jasper, in a vest that hugged his frame, mingled proud, introducing me as my partner, the genius. A highlight, his foreman showing, clapping Jasper's back. Heard the noise. Bullshit. You're solid, Riley. Bring the boyfriend to the site barbecue. Progress, small but seismic. But climax crested unexpected. Post-opening high, we escaped to the San Juans, ferry to Orcas Island. Cabin rental on a cliff overlooking the Salish Sea. Days blurred idyllic. Kayaking glassy inlets, his laughter as seals barked. Nights by fire pit, Esmores melting sticky on fingers before kisses turned heated. One evening, hike to Mountain Lake. He dropped to knee in the wildflowers. Ring simple, reclaimed wood band inlaid with abalone, glinting sea blue. Eli Hawthorne, he said, voice rough with nerves, eyes shining. You upended my blueprint, made me whole. Marry me? Build this life, storms and all. Tears blurred him, joy crashing. Yes, God, yes. We tumbled laughing to the grass. Rings sliding warm on my finger. Bodies joining in celebration. Urgent, then languid, the island holding our vows in salt air. Return brought reality's bite. A letter from the Marines alumni group, Jasper's old unit, inviting to a Tacoma reunion. Share your story, it read. Inspire the ranks. He paced the loft, ring glinting as he gestured. Out there, in uniform circles? Risky. I stopped him, hands on his chest. Or brave, like the proposal. Show 'em love wins wars too. He went, suit sharp, me beside in solidarity. The hall buzzed. Vets in polos, beers clinking, stories of deserts and drills. When his turn came, voice steady. After tours, I found my truth. This man, nodding to me, taught me home's not a place, but a person. Queer, proud. No more hiding. Silence. Then applause. Thunderous. A burly sergeant hugging him fierce. About time, Riley. Welcome home. Elation carried, but shadows lingered. Back home. A call from Theo. Big offer LA Gallery. Month-long residency. For you, Eli. But solo. They'd want the series without the personal drama taint. Temptation Ward, career leap, sun after rain. But Jasper's face fell, unspoken fear of distance. Go, he said, masking hurt. Your wave. Nights strained. Arguments veiled as discussions. It's now or never. What about us? Culminating in a blowout. Words flung like splinters. Always the sacrifice. Chasing ghosts. He stormed to the couch, me to the studio. Canvas slashed in rage. Dawn found us raw, him with coffee, eyes red. Don't want to clip wings. But losing you. Embrace followed. Tears mingling. LA's a visit. We negotiate. Together. The residency accepted terms, 2 months, weekends bridged by flights. Jasper joining for the install. But on route south, airport goodbyes tugged. His kiss lingering. Call every night. LA dazzled, palm shadows on stucco. Gallery in Silver Lake humming with A-listers. Work poured, urban tides, queer icons in concrete jungles. Jasper's calls anchored. His builds progressing, harbor house ribbon cut, voice warm with pride. Midway, crisis hit. A storm felled a beam on his sight. Miracle no injuries, but delays, blame shifting. Crews fracturing. He confessed over crackly line. Foreman riding me hard. Feels like failure. Fly down, I urged. Recharge. He did. Weekend whirlwind. Griffith Observatory stars, his head on my shoulder. Tacos in Boyle Heights, spice burning away stress. You're my reset, he murmured, hotel sheets tangling us slow. Return steadied him, but seeded doubt. Ella suits you. Lights, big breaks. Tacoma boy like me. Hold you back. Nonsense, I soothed, but the question echoed. Residency's end brought triumph, sold-out show. Reviews hailing Hawthorne's queer renaissance. Flying north, ring heavy with promise, I vowed balance. Homecoming was feast. Jasper's chili perfected, loft strung with lights. But unpacking revealed the fault. A job offer slipped in my bag, LA permanent, curator gig, shaped the scene. He saw it, face shuddering. Take it. Heart split. If we go together? His laugh pained. Builds dry up there. Your world, not mine. Nights blurred. Talks circling drains. Compromise? Split time? Resentment brewed subtle. Love's forge overheating. One evening, post-argument, he packed a bag. Need air. Motel couple days. Think straight. Door shut soft, but the slam echoed. Alone, I wept, ring mocking. Proposal's joy soured to chain? Days crawled. Texts polite, distance yawning. Mia intervened. Fight for it, idiot. He's scared, not gone. I drove to the site, finding him mid-frame, saw paused. Jazz don't. We're the build. Reinforce, don't raise. He dropped tools, pulling me close, dust gritting our kiss. Missed you. Feared dimming your shine. Together, I whispered. LA summers, Seattle roots. Hybrid life. Nodding, tears tracking. Hybrid us. Renewal sparked. Wedding plans tentative. Small Orcas cliffside. Family bridging divides. But fate tested final. A call from his mom. Abuela fading. Wants to see you boys. Bless the union. We raced to Tacoma. Hospital sterile under fluorescent hum. Abuela, frail in bed, gripped our hands. Ring admired, eyes twinkling. Mi Nieto found his corazon. Be gentle, mundo's rough. She passed peaceful. Dawn light gilding the room. Grief bound us tighter. Funeral pozole shared with aunts whispering approvals. Jasper's eulogy breaking. She taught love's strongest build. Healing came slow, but in the ashes, clarity. Love's not flawless blueprint, but adaptive frame. Bending, not breaking. Back in Seattle, we inked it. My LA summers accepted, his shop expanded with coastal gigs. The loft pulsed renewed, new canvases, his workbench humming. One night, fire escape perch, rings glinting, he turned. Ready for forever? Storms and all. Kiss sealed, city sprawling below, our harbor, hard won. The wedding dawned mist-shrouded on Orcus, the cliffside clearing we'd claimed for vows carpeted in wild lupin and salal. The Salish Sea a turquoise expanse below where ferries cut white wakes like promises kept. Jasper and I had planned it lean 30 souls. No frills beyond the arch he'd carved from driftwood, inlaid with abalone shards that caught the emerging sun like captured stars. Family mingled tentative. My folks from Spokane, Dad's handshake now warm with practice, Mom dabbing eyes over the wildflower boutonnieres. His side from Tacoma, aunts in embroidered shawls pressing tamale-wrapped favors, sisters snapping photos with unabashed glee. Theo helmed the playlist, indie folk lilting from speakers, while Riley officiated, voice steady, beard trimmed sharp, eyes shining with borrowed joy. I waited at the arch, barefoot in linen slacks and a shirt unbuttoned at the throat, heart a wild drum against my ribs. The path from the cabin wound gentle, ferns brushing ankles, and then he appeared, Jasper, stepping from the trees like a vision from one of my canvases. Vest of soft chambray over a tee, jeans cuffed, hair windswept, that dimple flashing as his mom adjusted his collar with a kiss. Our eyes locked across the clearing, and time folded. The loft's first awkward coffees, the kiss that shattered walls, the storms we'd weathered folding into this moment, raw and radiant. Riley's words wove simple. We've gathered where land meets sea, to witness two souls forging their tide. Jasper, Eli, what vows bind you? Jasper stepped close, hands engulfing mine, ring warm from his pocket. Eli, you saw me, cracks and all, and taught me home's a choice, daily built. I vow to hold your brush when hands shake, to weather your waves with steady frame. In quiet lofts and loud gales, you're my north. Forever. Tears pricked, his voice gravel-soft, pulling memory's thread. I squeezed his fingers, steadying. Jazz, you crashed my blank canvas, filled it with color I didn't know I craved. I vow to sketch your shadows gentle, to stand unyielding in your light. Through rejections and rebuilds, you're my anchor. Always. Rings exchanged, his wood band simple on my finger, mine a silver twist etched with compass points. Sealing with a kiss that drew whoops and sighs, salt-tanged and deep. The sea whispered approval, waves lapping eternal below. Reception spilled casual. Picnic blankets on grass, potluck spread of Mom's pie and Abuela's recipe cards laminated for posterity. Chili rellenos steaming beside Theo's charcuterie. Laughter flowed easy now, Dad cornering Jasper with carpentry tales. His mom pulling me for a slow dance to Springsteen, whispering, "He glows with you, Mijo." Fireflies sparked as dusk fell, stories circling the bonfire. Riley's coming out at a family reunion gone gloriously sideways, Mia's toast slurring into poetry slams. Jasper and I stole moments, his hand low on my back during toasts, my head on his shoulder under stars, breaths sinking to the cricket chorus. Bed that night in the cabin was sacrament. Windows open to pine scent breeze, his mouth tracing vows on my skin, slow and reverent. "Husband," he murmured, entering with a gasp that echoed mine. Bodies a familiar map explored anew, rhythm built like breakers, cresting in shared release, his name a litany on my lips. We lay after, tangled, rings clinking soft, the islands quiet a blanket. Honeymoon stretched a week, kayaks to hidden coves, hikes where deer grazed fearless, nights on the porch swing trading dreams. His shop's expansion, Riley Hawthorne builds, signage in my script, my studio in the loft growing to include guest artists, queer collectives painting walls alive. Kids someday? He mused one dawn, coffee steaming as eagles wheeled overhead. I leaned into him, heart full. Adopted crew, maybe. Teach him to swing hammers and hold brushes. He grinned, kissing my temple. Perfect chaos. Return to Seattle grounded us. Fairy horns welcoming, the loft waiting with mail stacks and half-finished projects. Life resumed textured. My LA residency's follow-up gigs, flights bridged by his visits, sunset drives on Mulholland, his hand in mine over taquitos. His builds booming, harbor house a hub now, workshops drawing crowds. Challenges lingered, dad's emails veering conservative, a site's homophobic sub-I fired swift, but they bent us, not broke. One autumn evening, post a joint project, his frame for my mural at a pride center, we collapsed on the couch, takeout cooling untouched. Remember the hook? I teased, head on his lap, his fingers carding my hair. He chuckled, low. Rain-soaked door, you with that knife like a lost night. Thought, this guy's trouble. Best kind. Trouble that stuck. I twisted, kissing up his jaw. Changed everything. His eyes darkened, hands sliding under my shirt. Still changing, deeper now. Love-making followed, urgent against cushions. His weight grounding, gasps mingling with rain's renewed patter. After sated, he traced my ring. Grateful Eli. For the kiss, the fight, the forge. Me too. Sleep took us easy, dreams of tides ebbing gentle. Years folded forward, seamless. The mural spawned a book, tides forged, queer lives in brush and beam. Theo's push, our collaboration, launching at Harbor House to packed rooms. Jasper's shop thrived, reclaimed wood installations in galleries, my name beside his in credits. We mentored, young artists in the loft, apprentices swinging hammers under his eye, stories shared over communal dinners. A quiet milestone. Spokane visit, dad gifting a toolbox. For the builds, voice gruff with pride. Tacoma Sundays evolved, nieces drawing rainbows on our fridge art. Losses came, mom's health scare, a crewmate's coming out gone south, but compassion anchored, hospital vigils, fundraisers raised. One winter solstice, fire escape perch as always, city lights a constellation below. Jasper turned. 10 years since that door. I nodded, ring catching frost glow. Feels like yesterday's sketch. He pulled a small box, new bands, etched with coordinates. Orcas Cliff, loft window our first cove. Renew? Here now. Tears welled, joy eternal. Always. Kiss in the cold, world vast below. Our story, unfinished, but beautifully bound. In the end, love wasn't grand gestures or flawless frames. It was the daily mend, the compassionate hold, the freedom to be cracked, colored, wholly us. And in that truth, we found our deepest art.